All right, everybody, welcome back to Movie Talks and Chill at the Sunscreen Film Festival, Day 3.
It's Trace. Get it right.
Trace. So this is the third day. This is Saturday. Today's a big day, so they have a continuation of more films, more showings, more workshops.
More interviews.
More interviews. A lot more to come for you guys. And then tonight's the big after party where they do the award ceremony and just a big fun time party. So,
Yep.
what do you
I'm
guys
even
think?
going this year.
Patrick's even going.
I know. I'm almost excited. But anyway,
Let's go ahead and temper those expectations.
that's why I said almost.
So for you
Still
guys,
bring it down a notch.
just a little bit. What do you guys think about so far for yesterday? How did yesterday go?
Oh, I really like talking with Maximo or Maxim.
Maxim. Yeah. He was. I don't have words.
He does.
He does. Yes. But no, that was a great interview, and I mean, all of them have been really great. Getting again, a lot of energy this year, a lot of passion, which is what we continue to find here, which is awesome.
We got to sit down with Steve Stein again from last year. He's always a fun chat.
Oh yeah, and educational as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
Gets you some good insight. And we had Doug at the beginning.
I'm wondering if he's going to be the first victim of Skynet or the first
He's gonna be the creator of Skynet.
creator.
Sorry, Steve. But no, I also like that we got the educational director.
Yep.
Dave DeBoer, not to be confused with my friend Dave DeBoer.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was really good. I think it was a nice mixture. So Doug's always a good time to have on. We have him.
But I mean, it's
here.
just Doug. He's on all the time.
Yeah. But he's not just Doug. Doug is Doug.
We did get a chance to speak with Ben last night, but off camera.
On the offline.
Yeah, we spoke to him multiple times.
And we may need to do a show on the new production company they're thinking about running.
Once again, I'm so glad I went home last night.
And the one we have to partner up with.
Yes.
That's a good one,
Yeah.
too.
By the way, you're in there, so
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yay.
Yay. It's going to be great.
plausible deniability will not help you.
But I was like 15 miles away.
Does not matter.
I own a third of this goddamn company, don't I?
Yes. That's why you're guilty by association.
Majority rules. It was voted in. But yeah, also going back to Maxim.
Maxim.
We got a little bit of the very intellectual, philosophical, metaphysical version of that perspective, so to speak.
Well, also he gave some analytics on it too for that pitch, what you would need in a pitch style to get. All right, if you want this, pitch it this way. If you want this, you got to pitch this and have these things in it. So I think that was probably one that we've never had before. We never had
he
on
was
the show. Mm-hmm.
It was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Even out of all the years. I mean, everybody's great.
But I like how we ask one simple question, he goes on a 20-minute, conversation about it. And
well, it's funny, when we spoke with Tony Armour about it, he says, he's a great guy. He's like, you can ask him one question, he can just go on with it. It's like, that's what we did.
Our episodes are only an hour long.
Yeah.
No, but that was great, though. And actually, I like that because I've said it offline, I said it online. Because now we're officially, interviewers, hosts of interviews and stuff. And when you ask somebody a question and they give you a very blanket or one-word answer, sometimes you're asking a question and you want to hear what they have to say.
You're trying to engage,
But
yeah.
also, you don't always have back a secondary question right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes what they're explaining to you will create questions, as most interviews happen. Like, we don't have a list. Where'd you grow up? What'd you do? How you doing?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Are you enjoying the film festival? Yes. Would you like to elaborate?
Yes.
Do you have a film here? Also, yes.
Yes. What, is that have a name?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does have a name.
That is the name, yes.
Then you're playing charades. All right, 2 words.
Wait.
One first word,
Are you
one syllable.
trying to get me to steal second? What's
Well, we didn't have any of those, really, but that's,
Well, thankfully, when we come here, everyone's so passionate about either seeing the movies or
yeah.
the project they have being shown. Like,
Oh no, they want to talk about it.
Is this live? I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's start talking.
Yeah, they want to talk about I mean, we've had people like, even the gentleman this morning, basically doing the interview, even the kid yesterday, all offline, just And so I was like, hey, can I do an interview? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, we're not doing it now.
Yeah, but-
Yeah, we don't have the mic on us.
Save it for the interview.
But, everybody likes talking, but also I think, and we don't bring it up, but I mean, they do great Q&As, but also there's so many films and there's so much time that they have to limit, like the workshops, they have to get out the information as quickly as possible, but give as much as possible. So I think also with the filmmakers, they have the Q&A, but maybe the Q&A is involved with most of the people involved in the movie. So maybe you have 4 or 5 people involved, and you have 30 minutes, and the question may be directed at one particular aspect of it. So maybe not everybody gets to speak. So with us, they at least get to elaborate a little bit more, and it's more one-on-one. So
Yeah.
I think that's what they like too. They get to give their point of view. I didn't talk on stage. I'm talking now.
Motherfucker.
But let's go through a little bit what we got going on today. So this is day 3.
Right now, the high school short block is going on, and Krista's
Nice.
panel is going
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Yep. Who actually we didn't mention, but having
She was
Chris
on yesterday as well.
Yep.
Given about Film Berserker, Team Berserker. I don't want to say it wrong.
It's Film Berserker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Berserker.
So it's basically educational site on
Distribution and making sure you don't
Exactly.
get screwed over.
Yeah. So actually here the actual distribution. This is about what her panel is about: the distributor business model, the harsh reality behind the deal workshop. Then we have, let's see here, 9:30, Underground History. It's a documentary feature. Let's see here, we got a feature at 9:30 called "Where Were You?"
I was at home.
on the mezzanine.
Yeah, where were you? It's not a documentary about you.
That would be a very boring movie.
Oh, the Chicks Making Flicks Power Brunch is today. at
Oh, they're doing that
10:30.
again?
They do it every year.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing
It's
last
just
year.
not. It's just not associated here.
They do it. I think they do it
With
with
Chris,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do the brunch over there. So I mean, it's still in the area. It's still in
Yeah.
the sundial. Let's see here. Another workshop at 10:45. Legal. Ask the Lawyer workshop. We got 11 a.m. double feature. Can you pronounce this one?
I don't have it pulled
El
up.
Ribote and All Right. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, so I apologize to the filmmakers. on this one.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah, and then we got at 11:30 with documentary short blocks 2. 11:45 there's a short film block, Made in Florida Part 1. There's a panel at noon, the film business financing and distribution decoded, what every filmmaker must know. Let's see here, 12:30 they got the documentary feature Biohack Yourself, Lifespanning Our Vitality. So
Yeah,
They're-
there's,
downstairs
they're
that
actually
are
setting it-
up.
yeah.
yeah.
They're
They're
setting that up.
literally rolling out the red carpet for that event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1:15 there's another workshop, writing.
Hollywood
This is the
Hustle.
one your friend goes to a lot, the writing one.
He goes to all of them.
Okay.
But
So-
our friend Tony from Courtside, I think he's coming up here for that one as well.
Okay. Hollywood Hustle, navigating the industry and selling your scripts. I think that's a good one too. I mean,
To the
that's,
hustle.
This one sounds an international feature at 1:45. Time travel is dangerous.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just saw that one. That one.
Let me click on that one
You
here.
have my attention.
Yeah.
Best friends Ruth and Megan run a vintage shop in North London. When they stumble across a time machine, they embark on trips to the past, borrowing, in quotations,
Items to sell.
in the present. They don't want to change history or rob banks. They just want to find a nice lamp without getting sucked into the hellish time-space vortex that is the unreason.
This is some Doctor Who level shit
I
right
know,
here.
right? And it's based in North London, they
Yeah.
said, so...
Nah.
Is David Tennant gonna be here?
I know, right? 2:15 college short blocks 2, so we may see the students for that one too. You never
Hopefully.
know. 2:30. I wonder if Tony's going to this one too. It's another writing one. Beyond the stereotype, crafting characters that feel real. I think that one's good too because that's.
Max will
I think
probably.
I
really
think
lead that
Rachel.
one.
I think Rachel might go to that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of cool because you watch movies and sometimes you can buy into the
'Cause she's-
character and sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's she's really big into writing and trying to get she's trying to get a book started.
Yeah.
So she said she might go to that
Oh,
one.
nice. 2:30, we got the sci-fi shorts block, and we're not going to read every single thing about it, so don't think that we're not caring about certain sections. I'm just picking and choosing here. Will You Come With Me? That's one of the movies.
I'm going to skip down to 6:45. There's a movie called Operation Taco Gary's. And that just sounds hilarious.
Let's see here. Maya, a teenage girl, must choose between staying on Earth with her family and friends or leaving with her extraterrestrial boyfriend to his planet. The movie, it's one of the short block ones called Will You Come With Me? We got Project Penelope, grieving the tragic loss of their young daughter Penelope. Scientists Jonas and Elizabeth delve into the world of artificial intelligence to recreate their beloved child. As they work diligently to assemble Penelope's essence from fragmented memories and precious mementos, the relationship is tested. Elizabeth becomes increasingly doubtful about their likelihood of success, while Jonas conceals a haunting secret. And then we got Forsaken Mercenary, XMO, Alienation. Alienation, psychological sci-fi story about a couple whose relationship unravels as they encounter a mysterious alien presence, the Egg.
Just real quick, there's a comedy short
Does
block.
a face grabber come out of the egg?
There's a comedy short block this afternoon, and one of the movies is called Girl Talk. What happens in the women's bathroom stays in the women's bathroom, ... until now. It's 6 minutes long. I really want to see if I can dip into the theater and see that one.
Well, so you have to schedule it though.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
remember, if you want to see anything, you have to make sure you go online and put it in. So you're.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's in theater one. I can see the door for it right over here.
Well, that doesn't mean you're allowed to get in without,
I have a
it's full.
VIP pass. I can go wherever the hell I
Everybody
want.
here has a VIP pass. They all have to schedule.
Wow.
3:45.
Didn't we have a conversation yesterday about entitlement?
Yes, we did.
We were actually talking about that 20 minutes ago before we turned on the microphone.
Get Max back up here.
Yeah. Put Patrick in his place.
Well, at 3:45, they have the 3:45's pitch fest. That was part of what he was
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah, he's leading that workshop.
You got 3:45 Heartstrings short block, 4:30 Comedy Shorts block 2, 4:30 another short block, Labyrinth of the Mind shorts, Sorority of the Damned at 5:45. It's a feature. I'm gonna guess what that is. Now, let's play a fun little game.
All right.
Without looking, what do you think? Sorority of the Damned. Give me a plot that you think that is.
It's a sorority that looks normal on the outside, but they worship a demon cult from the inside,
Okay.
I pulled up the description, so I can't play.
and they sacrifice a virgin every year.
So it's actually a hapless janitor is tasked with saving a group of sorority sisters before they bring about the end of the world. I was not expecting a janitor to get
Nope.
pulled into this plot.
It also
but
says
hey,
a group of sorority sisters, but the cast is one person. Felicia Rose.
Did you never see Multiplicity?
But even he had a wife, and she was credited.
Adam Sandler and Jack and Jill.
Don't.
played his sister.
Why would you remind people that that thing exists?
Because-
Any Eddie Murphy or Wayne's brother movie?
Yeah, right. I'm just saying.
There are multiple Waynes. That's cheating. It's like saying
No, it's not.
Dan Aykroyd in Nothing But Trouble. Also John Candy in Nothing But
Also,
Trouble.
yeah.
But there are two actors in that movie.
Yeah, but they played multiple parts.
Yeah, but there'd still be more than one person. You know what? We're
Just saying. Anyway, back
Yeah,
to
who's
this.
playing the janitor?
not Felicia, I'm assuming.
It's 5:45. A documentary feature called Raised. 6:15. The feature called The School Duel. 6:45. Another feature, Operation Taco Gary's. That's what you mentioned. 7:30. Mistura. 8 p.m. is a feature called The Acting Class, and then I don't like the way they put that in the color.
Yeah, it's a little hard to read.
So
8
that's at
p.m.
So the 8 p.m. is the awards party. So now we don't have to ask anybody. We know what time it is.
Do you know what time it is?
I do know what time it is. So that's a day packed full of fun and film festivaling. So yeah, that should be fun.
And filmorific.
The filmorific. It's fantastic.
It's filmtastic.
No, but yesterday was really good. Today is gonna kick off and be great. Just looking forward to meeting more of the people, get more insights on one of them. We did mention the one interview we had too about Wicked.
Yes.
Jessica.
Jessica, yes.
Who was the devil? We actually got to speak to the devil.
Satine.
Satine, but she was Satan.
Yes. Pronounced Satine.
Yes. So technically, she was working at the film festival to promote her movie. We're working at the film festival doing a podcast. We were working with the devil,
Yes, we were.
and I was happy about that.
Of course.
And you're not happy about that?
No, of course I am.
Of course. Anyway, that's why your mic's off.
The power of Christ compels you.
I double checked to make sure it was on.
You didn't check that screen.
Yep.
Why is that button pushed down on the mixer
all
board?
Yeah.
I control the tracks. But no, everything was cool. Just again, looking forward to today. And yeah, so we're going to keep up with you guys, give you more updates. We'll have some interviews coming up. We definitely have one scheduled at 2, but we'll have people randomly coming up. I think we had another person of interest wanting to come up. Actually, 2 people today.
Yeah.
Interested. So we get them. We'll get whoever else wants to come up with us today. But to find out who, you're going to have to stay tuned with us for the continuation of Sunscreen Day number 3. Continuing, and God, I can't believe it's already Saturday. It's going to be sad tomorrow. It's always a melancholy moment for me. But
Maybe
Sad for
because
you
we go to
guys.
the after party tonight. Tomorrow's gonna suck ass.
no, actually, I'm not about that. I always hate the Sunday portion of it because it's almost over. So it's kind of sad. But yeah, stick with us. We'll continue day number 3 at Sunscreen. So until then, for Movie Talks and Chill, we are your hosts. I'm Tony Serrano.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
All right, guys, take care. All right, guys, welcome back to the continuation of Sunscreen Film Festival, day number 3. Exciting day. We've already had the interview, and we're going to have some more here. So we're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrano.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
And to our special guest.
I'm Stephen Demmler.
So, Stephen, what brings you to Sunscreen?
Yeah, a couple things. I suppose I am on the board of directors, although, as I regularly say, I'm the least useful board of director member. But this year I have 5 projects here that I produced or executive produced. And I just, I run my company based Talent Entertainment. We're based in Tampa, so for me this is a really important local festival.
Absolutely. So, I know you said you're connected with Tony, right?
Yeah, Tony works
so
for me.
Tony,
Yeah,
okay.
So Talent Entertainment is I call it a creative equity company,
Okay.
which is a pretentious way to say it's a private equity company that does media and entertainment. I try to make it less like financy. But we produce films. We own sound stages and studios. We own a consumer products company that's really cool called Mutant. That used to be Mondo. If you're familiar with
Okay.
Mondo.
Yep, I know Mondo.
Yeah, so those creative directors, when Funko bought Mondo, were all let go. And then myself, Tim League, who founded Alamo Draft House and Neon, and then Elijah Wood, Spectrovision and Lord of the Rings and all that. We put them back together as a group and relaunched them as Mutant. And so now we do all the high-end vinyls and high-end posters for like Dune 2, or we just released the soundtrack for Sinners
That's
yesterday. Cool. Yeah. So we do all those things, and Tony, who founded Sunscreen, he came to work for me, and he's the head of we have an 11-acre film studio and soundstage facility in Dallas, Texas, and he's the head of it.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, because I remember he was the film commissioner here, and then he
Yep.
moved to Dallas
Yep.
to be the film commissioner over there.
Correct.
And then I know he was doing well, but then he said he got this great opportunity, and he just couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, well, I got the opportunity because of him. So when he
Oh,
became
wow.
the film commissioner in Dallas, part of the job is to know your locations.
Right.
And so he toured this facility, which was an old cotton distribution facility that had been in a land developer's portfolio for like 20-something years and not touched. And he saw it and called me and was like, I know you don't do this, but you're kind of an insane person and maybe you could do something. So he flew me there, and I am, and shortly thereafter partnered with somebody and bought it and refurbished it from the ground up.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little insight on like the films that you have here?
This year. Okay, so I'm going to use my hands because
I'm Italian, so I use my hands all the
Okay,
time when I talk.
So I did a development screen of a short of mine that I wrote and directed that'll be at Fantastic Fest in September called Every Single Day is a Parent. So it's a little dark comedy thing I wrote to deal with being scared of my daughter. She's 3, and beautiful and wonderful, but also so much tougher than me already, which can't bode well.
Oh, you have to be careful with the 3-nagers.
Yeah, exactly. So we have that one. I'm going to mess all this up. Then I just watched El Rebote, which was what we're calling, I guess, a mid-length short, so 26 or 29 minutes, or 30. I'm not exactly sure. And that is, I did the MFA at NYU in dramatic writing, and a cohort mate of mine, Lucas Lane, wrote and directed it. It stars Jim O'Hare, who was Jerry on Parks and Rec. Most famously, he's been in so many things, but most famously that. So we just now screened that, and I thought it was beautiful. Tony and I together, Tony Armour and I, produced a Western from this female filmmaker, pair of female filmmakers called Eastern Western, that is premiering tomorrow. Last night, I'm only going to get to 4. Oh, I remember. Okay. Last night we premiered The Feather Detective, which was a pilot we shot with money from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation and NYU's Innovation Lab. And we shot it down here 1 year ago in St. Pete. And it was which was fun about that is it's a 1960s Washington, D.C. period piece that we shot in St. Petersburg, Florida in its entirety, and it looks exactly like you need it to pull this off. And we did that one just to kind of prove to certain other financiers and other producers that, one, the crew here in Tampa St. Pete is top tier and capable of putting out the best work possible, and two, that we don't only have to shoot summer Hallmark movies.
Right.
That we can shoot other things.
Yeah. Well, and then we've kind of talked about this, with Doug and Ben a lot, and even Tony, of like St. Petersburg has this architecture that you could shoot almost anything.
It's amazing. Our big problem and framing out the palm trees. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause they're not in
Exactly.
1960 DC, but so what?
Right.
You'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing too is if you go out, even outside of just say St. Pete or something, but Florida has a little bit of minus mountains.
Sure.
Obviously, mountains.
Yes.
Or really big
Anything,
desert.
even moderate hills.
Yes.
I'm
we have
sh-
overpasses.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure you can go to a golf club, find a little hill.
That's the best we can do.
Yeah, you have to do a real close up.
Yeah, right.
But other than, you can, we have rural areas, you have country areas, you have rivers, we have lakes, we have oceans, we have gulfs. So you can find almost anything you need in Florida, minus mountains.
Yeah, it's very flexible. And the last thing is, which premieres today at 2:30, is a short film called Alienation. That's something I wrote with Emily Skye, who's just a wildly talented writer and director herself. We connected at Cannes last year while I was there for a film in competition I produced, and found we had similar sensibilities, and she asked me to write something for her. So I did, but she's a great writer, so she jumped on and made it even better. And then she produced it, she directed it, and so it's all hers now, but that'll premiere here also.
Okay.
I think that's the movie that Cal wants to go see after his panel. He was talking about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alienation?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did something really great with it. She's very, very talented.
Yeah, there was a gentleman we met. He's from
Toronto.
Canada, Toronto.
Okay.
Which almost anybody from Canada is basically from Toronto. There's, the other provinces are slower, smaller populations, but he was talking about a couple things he wanted to see.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But let me ask you this, if you don't mind. So,
Please.
Your company is based out of Tampa, right?
Yep.
You said,
Mhm.
and then you guys. So, do you guys bounce back between Dallas and here, or are you mainly now focused back here? Do you still work out in Dallas?
I
sometimes?
fly everywhere. My actual address should be a United flight.
United 103.
Yeah, it's
Seat 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get a middle seat.
It's a stupid joke, but for my whole life, I've kind of wondered who hits the top tier status on an airline's loyalty program, and now I have, and now I know it's someone unhappy with how much they travel.
The perks sound great.
Yeah,
getting to them.
The actual perk, by the way, is that I get to board before women and children. So now I'm an asshole.
Right.
Yeah,
Of course
I
you would.
hate
Just because you
doing it.
can doesn't mean you
Yeah,
should.
I
Shut
hate
the kid.
doing it.
I'm
They're
getting the
like,
good
go ahead,
seat.
and I'm like, no.
We'll get the priority boarders.
Right, exactly.
Before military.
Yeah, before
disabled.
It's really, it's no
It's just
good.
Steve.
It's the worst part. Yeah.
It's like pilots.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, pilot's planes and it's Steve. Yeah.
Can I just walk in with you guys, act like I'm flying the
please.
plane?
Yeah.
They always do the announcements on there. It's
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you're now allowed to board.
They do. We don't have to keep talking about United's loyalty program, but they'll lean over and be like, "Thank you." When I sit down, they're like, "Thank you for Mr. Demmler." I'm like, can we just fly?
I just want to go
Start
to
the
Dallas,
plane.
To answer
man.
your actual question, I'm based here, but and Tony runs a studio in Dallas, so I am there sometimes. He's back and forth quite a lot. I'm wherever we're shooting, or if I need to be in Manhattan or LA for meetings, I'll go. I try to chunk them together. So the week after next, I'll go to LA for a week. But I don't need to live there. I do meetings on Zoom and phones. And when there is value of being in person, I kind of batch it together and go. And then we'll wherever we're shooting, and we shoot all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Do you have anything in cons this year?
No, not this year. Just for the way the production cycle worked. So we had O Canada in competition last year. Paul Schrader's film with Jacob Elordi and Richard Gere and Uma Thurman and Michael Imperioli. It was really an incredible cast. And Christine Forsyth. This year, or maybe for next Cannes, the hope will be the film we're about to shoot in a couple weeks, and it can't say too much yet, I suppose, but it's like the most beautiful like Iraq come home and deal with stuff thing I've ever read, which is like a genre unto itself.
Yeah.
But it's about reconciliation, and it's not about war or violence or whatever. It's about people from different parts of the world coming together. And I think it's really important right now, given the state of the world. So I'm really excited about it. I can't say the cast yet because deals are like closed but not papered.
Yeah.
The papers aren't done. I'll tell you when we're done. But it's like a cast I'm so thrilled about. And my producing partners on it did King Richard, for which they were Oscar nominated.
Oh, okay.
And the other one did like Call Jane, that was at Sundance. It's just really other talented producers. So we're making a film that shoots half of it in Amman, Jordan, and like a war scene we'll shoot in Jordan, in downtown, and then half in Dallas, or at and around our studio, for $3 million gross.
So
I shouldn't say,
how
probably,
hard
but
has it
it's
been?
amazing, right? That we can do. Yeah.
How hard has it been to try to get, especially with everything that's been going on with the world, not just the U.S., but with our situation, but, also in the Middle East, like how hard has it been getting to like schedule that and make sure everybody's, in a safe place to be able to film, you know?
Well, that was kind of my last summer as far as prep goes. Jordan is remarkably safe, like in the context of the Middle East especially. It's like beautiful. It's very steadily, consistently run. But, the talent agents for some of the names in this film were like, especially a year ago, right, when it was even more tense over there, they're like, we need somebody to kind of sign off on the safety. So Steve, why don't you go? Was kind of the thing. So I was lucky enough to get to go and spend a week and a half scouting Amman, Jordan, Petra, the desert where they shot Dune 2 and all the Star Wars films. The crew there, like that is the kind of projects the crew there works on.
Okay.
So they have a very clear system. It's very safe, very controlled, and it's really another place you can go and just find, and maybe not expect to find like the highest caliber crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say? I know you said you've been all over and traveling. Is there any one particular area that you just like fell in love with shooting at a place, or just said, "Hey, we need to do something again here"?
Yeah. Hard to not pick New Zealand.
Okay.
I got to do a film called Bookworm, which was a father-daughter adventure dramedy throughout the New Zealand wilderness that starred Elijah Wood. So being back, doing, I believe, his first film in New Zealand since Rings, with him, and then with the Ant Timpson, who directed Come to Daddy with Elijah, that was at Sundance, and a really like uber talented writer named Toby Harvard. Getting to be there and do that project with like these majestic mountains and just the fields, like you've seen New Zealand pictures of it or in films, like it's incredible. And also it was fun, like everywhere we stepped, they were like, oh, we shot this part of Rings here, because like the entire country was there. But it was, it's just gorgeous, and the crew was beautiful, and they were so kind to me. Like in between, on days off, the crew was taking me to rugby matches and teaching me what rugby was. It was really great. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I noticed that you got a project that you're going to be shooting here in a couple weeks. Is there anything like in the back burner where you're like, like something that you want to do that hasn't maybe even been put into concept or paper yet? Is there like something that you haven't done yet, like a genre type film?
Yeah. Well, so I produce and run this company, but I started it all to feed my creative side, which started when I was young. At Saturday Night Live, I was on the crew for over 100 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then really it's been writing my whole life, and that's what I did at NYU as a dramatic writing program. And so I started the company to break into the business so that I could sneak my writing along and not have to go through a very competitive, difficult path. Like, is a competitive advantage. And it took a lot longer than planned, but actually within the last month, 3 Arts and WME signed me as a writer. So my first project we're casting now to write and direct through WME and them, which is I'm super excited about. So that's my real answer. But if there's one that's not started at all, there's a novel by Haruki Murakami called Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World that he wrote in 1985, and I would love to make that so bad, so much so that I have checked on its rights and it is available. But the author, who's like a perennial Nobel Prize candidate, is like, I don't know if I want this made into a movie. I'm like, come on, man, trust me.
Just give us a shot.
It has very little track record. Like, I can do this. Yeah. So that would be a dream.
That's awesome, man. That's great. And then, so you're here for the rest of the weekend, right? Or are you just?
I'm out late today. I have we did this premiere for this El Rebote, and then I'll be on 2 panels. One for writing, so crafting real characters, it's called, and then the Pitch Fest that we do here.
Okay.
I'll sit on the Pitch Fest.
So we talked with Maxim yesterday about the pitch workshop.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting
Yeah,
gentleman.
some excellent insights that he gave on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very
Yeah,
really
it's
good to
fun
talk
every
to.
year.
I think that's probably, and then we went over this with him, was I think that's kind of like one of the hardest things that, people with ideas for movies have. It's
think
like,
so.
oh, well, we can get this guy for, the everything. Oh, shoot. Everything else is great, but like, where do you get that sell? Where do you get that deal made that's gonna, project your movie, farther from, the short that you have and make it into a feature?
Well, the one thing that the Pitch Fest doesn't convey is that you're always pitching your film and you have to tailor it to your audience. So like a writer director maybe is pitching me as a producer, but then together we're pitching some talent agent for a piece of talent, or we're pitching a DP, like a named DP, to come be on the project. So different things are interesting about the film to each of those people.
Yeah.
Or you're pitching a financier, like different things will matter to them. So your pitch has to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about the Pitch Fest is Tony does a good job of kind of aggregating a few of us who are different and do different things. So when they pitch us, it's typically like a very to be frank, it's usually like, can I have money for my project? Which, because it's such a need and starting place for everybody. And then they get to hear back from different groups being like, that would work maybe for financier, but if you're talking for a producer, you want to say it this way, or if you're looking for talent, like you need to frame it this way and talk about what matters to them versus just the project as a whole, in kind of like a objective vacuum, like make it very subjective for your audience.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just got one more question. I know you're a busy guy, so we don't.
Whatever you need. Whatever you need.
So we were going to ask, something we asked a lot, everybody that we've interviewed, or at least most people, and we've said, obviously this is an indie market, independent film is, it has its moments, like it has its ups and downs in terms of like when it's really big, and I personally think, this is back to the time where indie film is peaking now. Hollywood is kind of, we're
fading
not seeing
out.
as much, or we see a lot of the same cookie cutter stuff where it's, even though I love
Or everything's like a sequel.
or a reboot,
Yeah,
or,
reboot,
or
yeah.
a Marvel or DC movie, which I love the comic movies. I mean, I was a comic book kid, but after a while, it's like, is there anything else? So what is your feelings on the Hollywood versus the indie market? Do you think the indie market's kind of taking more over right now?
I think there's room for both, to be honest. Like, I took my 8-year-old son to see Minecraft, and we just had the best time.
Yeah.
With this just insane crowd of children, and that was so fun to have like a theatrical experience about something that's light and simple and fun and for everybody to enjoy. So I'm all for that. On the indie film side, I think that's where risks are supposed to be taken, right? Like Fox or Disney, they have quarterly meetings and shareholders who they have a fiduciary responsibility to deliver returns for. And so their part of the market that they should be serving should be, tied, it should be things like Minecraft and these things that are simpler, broader, more accessible, because that's they have a responsibility to deliver that for their shareholders, and that's why a business exists, is to add value to shareholders.
Yeah.
So I think that is where they should be focused, and indie film producers should be the ones trying new things and saying, what can cinema do, and what is it for, what are we trying to say, what issues do we want to highlight. Like, that's what indie film's supposed to be. Whether or not we're taking over, I would say no way, just because the economics are changing. And it's been set in process with streaming, and like that's no longer like the only reason, right? Like there are a lot of reasons that the economics are changing, and I don't think a really clear model has been found yet. And so it's very difficult to finance any independent film. I had a film fall apart, and I can't say the name of it, recently, with 5 Oscar winners, including the director, and like some of the talent were multiple Oscar, like you know who they are. They're multiple Oscar winners. Fell apart because the financier balked, and because he thought he would lose all his money, and he probably would have lost a chunk of it, because it's very difficult out there to monetize anything past $1 to $4 million films, which is why you see a proliferation of horror and genre stuff that's it's not simple in terms of concept and theme and impact, but we know how to make those for that budget range.
Yeah.
And talent knows that because we can make them for that budget range, it's okay for them to take lower upfront fees and take back end, because still not many of them do, but they have a higher probability of a single dribbling through the infield and turning into a double or a triple in terms of return.
Much kind of similar to like the Terrifier series, like how they
like that.
it started
great
off.
Or Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or even to step up to like a $6 to $8 million budget film with Neon, like Long Legs, you know, made $100 million theatrically on, I think it was around an $8 million budget or something like that.
Damn.
Beautiful. And you know, and like I'm sure Nick Cage and Michael Monroe didn't get their full quotes up front, but Neon, I'm sure, built a structure that made sense.
Right.
And said, like, if this is the one that works, you'll be taken care of, or taking care of us by showing up and delivering. So I think it's indie filmmakers, writers, directors, producers who have the flexibility to invent something. I'll stop talking after this one. I just met Clint Bentley. I toured him. He's the filmmaker from Sing Sing, and which Oscar nominated last year. And then his film at Sundance, Train Dreams, based on one of my favorite novels ever. Sold for I think $16 million. Like was one of the big splashy sales at Sundance this year. Sing Sing, they structured, and I'm gonna mess it up, so I apologize to Clint if this isn't totally correct, but I'm directionally correct here.
We mess things up all the time. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mess things up all the time.
Coleman Domingo was the star of that, who is a star. But from him through Clint, through everybody else on the crew and the cast, all were paid the same day rate. And then you just multiplied that times the hours you worked, and that was your fee for doing the film. Whether you're a gaffer or Coleman Domingo, you both were getting whatever it was per day. Yeah. And it's just hours worked. And then they made that up to Coleman on the points on the back end, but everybody also got points. It's just Coleman got more, I assume, right? Because
he's Coleman.
He's got to eat, right? Like,
yeah.
Because he's the face, and people click the face, and that's how sales work now. Mm-hmm. But that's somebody trying to innovate, you know what I mean? And I'm sure the talent agents didn't love a 10% fee off of the same day rate as the gaffer. But Coleman that film in particular, right, mattered to him. Like, most of his castmates were incarcerated prisoners or former prisoners. And they tried a new model, and it worked. And it went to the Oscars for Best Picture. So there are ways to innovate, like, structurally, but it's on indie financiers to invent those and figure out what they are.
Now, you were talking about with the hourly rate and stuff like that. Is that the same thing as, just to explain to some people, I know there's that term like getting paid to scale. Mm-hmm. Is that basically the same thing, or how does that?
It can be the same. It can be a little different. Scale is just there's contracts with the unions for certain budget level films, mean certain rates for certain positions, and that's the scale, right? Okay. Like you're at this scale, this budget, this scale, this budget, this scale. Okay. And then there's all different terms and nuance in there, but that's usually what it means. Okay. And I don't know the actual. I was involved in films, so I don't know what they did, if it was scale or some other number they made up that everyone agreed on. But I assume it. That was a union film, so it adhered to all the rules. But yeah, it would be like saying we have this much money, so everybody gets $100 a day. If you're here 5 days, you get paid $500 for the film. If you're here 2 days, you get $200. And then points wise, I don't know how they figured it out, but you'd be maybe one back-end point for everybody, and then you add one for whatever extra value you
Right,
see added
okay.
in terms of
Yeah.
the exit, till all 100 points are gone. Maybe that's how, I have no idea. But
Yeah.
the great thing about finance that people forget is it's also all made up.
Yes.
Finance is entirely a creative act.
He's
Also,
a finance guy. He tells me that
you
all the
know,
time.
It's all made up. So if you make up something where everyone's like, oh shit, we're gonna make a lot of money, then it's a real way to do it. Like, that's all it takes. So it's, again, I think it's on us as indie filmmakers to figure that out.
So we met over here on Friday morning. You told us a good story about a funny story about your studio and people. So what's probably one of your favorite moments that you've had in your career?
Yeah.
That funny, beautiful, whatever.
Sure.
You're one of your favorite, if you can narrow it down.
Yeah. I mean, I have two that I was talking with.
And don't feel pressured to say being on the show. It's perfectly fine.
Well, I assume that was like table stakes.
That was already that was
Here-
already built in.
That's here, a pile of crap, and then these two stories, and then these two stories.
This is the scale.
So much.
Yeah, this is the
so
scale.
much lower than this. I was telling him to Jim O'Hare at dinner last night. So they're both SNL stories, which again, like my father was chief props from the first season through season 48. So me getting to work there was entirely nepotism, and I'm so excited about it. I'm a crew nepo baby, which you don't hear as much about as talent.
As
nepo
yes,
babies.
cast.
But that is me, and I'm happy, and 15 other family members. But so my two favorite are, it was a show week at SNL, and I was at the urinal, and doing my thing that you do at a urinal, and I look up because somebody comes in and comes right next to me, and there's like other spaces, so that's weird, and it's Steve Martin, who's my absolute favorite, especially then, right? Like even higher, like just favorite comedian of all time. And I grew up around this, so I'm not a starstruck person. So I left, and I was like, shoot, I'm gonna want to say hi to you. Like he was doing a cameo, and I was like, I don't know if he'll be back while I'm still working here to do another cameo. I've got to at least say hi. So I waited. He came out of the bathroom, and I said, hi, Steve. And he's like, you didn't wash your hands. And I froze. I was like, oh my God, did I? And I couldn't remember. Like my mind went blank. I was like, oh my God, am I a filth monster? Steve Martin. And then he like chuckled and like was super sweet and shook my hand. I was like, but it was like a hero for like what felt like 10 hours, but was probably 8 seconds. I was like, oh my God, my hero thinks I'm like a disgusting. And then the other, which is more on the beautiful and less funny side, there was a show where Paul McCartney did music, which was just cool to be on that show.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't remember exactly. I think he was like 68 or something at the time, so not all that young.
Yeah.
They do the good nights at the end, where everybody's on stage together, clapping, whatever. The audience files out, and the crew and cast kind of start to break. And he just kind of yells, hang on, guys. And he runs, and it's, 1:30 in the morning at that point. He runs, jumps up back on the music stage, as if this was all planned. I don't know if it happened this way, but in my head, he jumps up, a guitar flies out, he catches it. And then he played a private concert for the cast and crew for about 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
And we just stood there and watched
happening?
Paul McCartney like sing "Let It Be" just to us.
Yeah, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah,
It
no.
was really cool. It was really, really cool.
No, you're usually surrounded by like
Yeah.
60,000 other people, not that intimate.
Yeah, it was something. But yeah, I think those are my two favorite. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, the last question I have, and this is more because it's something we asked. Obviously, you've been in multiple facets of the business.
Sure.
It sounds like you've done a little bit of everything.
Trying.
What would you say, like for filmmakers out there, or somebody maybe just getting started in film, or if they've done their first film, but you feel the pressures of the industry, and you're wondering what would be like some best advice for somebody just trying to get their film out there, or just starting to make a film?
Yeah, I always struggle with this one just because everybody's path is different, and especially in this business, like there really is no one set path. Like if you want to be an investment banker at Goldman Sachs, you need to go to Harvard, you need to get an MBA, and then you will be an investment banker at one of those banks. Like you just will. This business isn't that. So everybody's path is valid and confusing and scary and seems like it won't work, but could. Mine was kind of a mix of a few things. Like I did get a start in the crew thanks to my family. So I had, but they were all crew, right? They weren't producers or business people.
Right.
But I still did get to grow up around it, so I did have that advantage. And I think a thing I learned was like, accept your advantages, accept your weaknesses. Like, be really honest about the tools you have and do not have.
Sure.
And then use those ones you do have to build what works for you. And for me, I went from working at SNL to deciding and aspiring to be a writer right away, to bailing and going and being a hedge fund trader for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I really valued food and shelter, and I thought that might be a simpler way to get it.
Smart.
But when I was done, when I was winding down and thinking I might have missed ever trying to be the thing I wanted to be,
Right.
and that I should give it a shot, it was after that for 13 years. So my thought was, I'm not going to just write and forsake the fact that I know how to do a lot of things in the finance sphere and have credibility there and relationships there. That's a tool. I'm going to use that to build something. And so I used that to build Talon, and then to kind of get into the business, I also decided my first approach was just going to be meet people and solve their problems and ask for nothing in return, and just believe that some people will take advantage of that and others will appreciate it and solve a problem for me at some point in the future, because people are on the whole kind and want to be there, especially in this business, for each other. Like, there's charlatans, but there are in every business, and that's okay, because I won't go back to them. I won't solve their next problem for them, and that's all right. That has to be okay. So you learn and build your group of people. And I mean, my classmate Lucas is a great example. Like, his film screen, he made it on his own, which he went out and got Jim. He did everything. He sent it to me. It was amazing. And so I called Tony and was like, we should screen this here, and Talon will pay to bring Lucas and Jim down so they can do it. And I think it's getting some momentum now. But like, I had nothing to do with that. Just a good thing for him. And hopefully when he's like a really famous filmmaker, he'll let Talon produce something. Hopefully he will. But he doesn't have to either. And that's it was just a good thing to do for a good person. So I think I'm saying find your tribe, maybe, if I want to put into like a trade soundbite. And then also, I think just be comfortable with things working and not working, and know that some stuff just doesn't work, and that's okay. And I think the other thing that filmmakers maybe don't understand, because they hear stories, is live within your risk. You'll hear stories of like a filmmaker mortgaging his house to make this film, and it worked. Oh my God! But like 2,000 other filmmakers did that and are destitute.
And
you know what I mean? And ruined. So do not.
Right.
Pick your risk so that if it goes to zero, if you're totally felt it and it goes just objectively horribly, that you're okay to keep living. And for me, like, that's why I can take all these shots I take, because it doesn't matter whether they work or not. Like, hopefully they do, because if enough of them don't work, I'm gonna give up. But I've given myself the runway to take a lot of shots and let it take its natural time.
Nice. And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but because I did some of this stuff a long time ago, years ago in production. I think the other thing too is a lot of people don't realize is just asking. Like, a lot of people are afraid to ask. And when I mean that, like, if you're a producer, whatever, and I walk up and I get this script, would you mind taking a look at it? Now, you could just say, no, I got no time for you, but you may say yes. Or I say, hey, I've got a camera, I would love to be on your set, maybe do a documentary for you.
Sure.
Can I do that? And then in return, maybe you can help me, show me how to do this audio thing. You never know. Like they say, Wayne Gretzky, miss 1,000 shots you never take.
Yeah.
But I found in the indie market personally is that so many people are willing to say yes because everybody's kind of in the same boat. Regardless of tier, either they're in the same boat now or they were in your boat at one point. And they're like, I know what that's like. I've got the time, right? It's not going to kill me. It's not going to financially hurt me if I help this person.
Right.
Why not? So, I mean, is that your experience that you've seen with indie?
Yeah, I think so. But that's part of the thing. Is like, it costs you $0 to ask something.
Yep.
It just, maybe it hurts a little if someone says no, but if you can't handle that, this is not the right business.
Yeah.
And somebody will say yes. It might not be me, it might not be whoever, or it might be,
Yeah.
And both things have happened. So I think that's really wise. Lawrence Ingley, who has produced some Oscar stuff, and he's a partner at Spectre Vision, Elijah Wood's production company. Daniel Noah's that I'm a strategic advisor at. That's actually a compliment he gave me once. He said, "Wow, you just ask for what you want, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." I want it. You say no, that's fine too. Like, I don't feel bad if you say no, but I want it.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
ask for it. What's it matter? You know what I mean?
If
Like,
I
can't get
don't,
it if I don't ask
exactly.
for it.
If I don't get it, I'm in the same spot I was beforehand.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that was in the context of him saying no to me also.
Yeah.
You just asked for what you want. Like, yeah, he's like, well, no. I was like, all right.
I love
What
your
about
drive,
this?
but
Yeah.
no.
What about this? Yeah. So that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
and you learn too. Like every feedback, positive or negative, is data.
Mm-hmm.
And I think creatives have a heart, in my opinion, and being one as well. Like, oftentimes creatives they take things real personal.
Yeah.
Like a no to your script means like you're a garbage writer and filmmaker and you don't deserve to be doing. Like, that's not it. Like at the pitch fest, for example, like almost everybody is going to get no's from almost everybody on that panel, because we're all also doing things and have other
Right.
aspirations and only so many resources, you know? And it means nothing, you know? Like, there's so many stories. I mean, Martin Scorsese can't get a film made every year, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he also is out, and he'll tell you, like, I'm saying that like I know him personally, not at all. But
We've got him on speed
enough
dial. Yeah.
interviews, hang on, Marty.
Right.
There's a reason though, like, he will also say, like, he's out talking to financiers, like, should he have to be begging for money? Even for the big stuff from Apple or whatever, or Wolf of Wall Street was financed by this Malaysian company that he had to go, like, really pitch to. And he's Martin Scorsese. That's a weird one, because that turned out that Malaysian company was actually a Ponzi scheme that invested in Wolf of Wall Street, and that person is in prison. But
Irony.
but
Yeah.
right. So yeah, but the film got made. So you know, I guess it's good.
It's good for Marty.
But point is, like, even he's out there getting told no all day
Sure.
long. He just, one, he's Martin Scorsese, but two, he kept going, you know, and he never put himself in the position for a no to destroy him or make
Right.
him think he couldn't make a film or
Yeah.
didn't know how to make a quality film.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've really appreciated this conversation.
Absolutely.
You gave us a lot of really good insight on stuff. I mean, it's been super exciting. We do probably have to run here in a bit, though, because we didn't.
For the record, if Martin Scorsese is listening, we will never say no to him.
Yes, right. Yeah, you can come and talk to us anytime. But Steve, thank you again so much
Yeah,
for
for
joining
sure.
us. If you're, you said you got to take off tonight. I was going to say if you're around tomorrow, if you want to stop back up and say hey, but
Well, also we've interviewed Tony in the past, all over Skype. So if you have updates in the future on any of the projects you want, and you want to use us to help promote that, we're always
Cool. Thank you very much.
always welcome to
Fine.
take
we'll
that
say
on.
yes.
Yeah, we will.
Yes,
We will
yes.
say yes.
So, am I hearing that I'm in the Martin Scorsese tier?
Yeah.
Oh
you
yes.
You'll never say
Oh
no?
yes.
I can be honest, that's too soon. I think you need to rework your tiers. Yeah, you should
We've only
definitely
got
say no.
two.
It's yes and no.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We're reevaluating our skill.
Got it. Yeah, I think I should
We'll
be
throw
your
in a
first,
maybe at
middle,
one
Yeah,
point.
I should be your maybe tier. So like first person. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Stick around with us for continuation of Sunscreen Day number 3. A lot more interviews to come up, and a lot more day and weekends still to go. But we'll be talking to you soon. Until then, for Movie Talks and Show, be your host. I am Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin
I'm
Butts.
Patrick Wall.
And
And I was Stephen Demmler.
all right, guys, take care.